Welcome to the Best 5 Minute Wine Podcast with Forrest Kelly.
Welcome to another episode of the Best 5 Minute Wine Podcast. I'm Forrest Kelly, and we have a guest co-host today.
It is so good to be back. Would you like to guess who the co-host is today?
Hey, Doug! Hurry or we'll miss the show!
Oh, we know that it's Doug is in the title.
Yes, your buddy Doug, who knows nothing about wine but loves to talk about it.
And you are the host of your that's the whole objective is guest hosting on today, is to get a little exposure for your podcast. Tell me about it.
Yes, Forrest is so gracious to come on my podcast, and I love to return the favor. Mine is Walk and Roll Live Disability Stories.
walkandrolllive.com if you want to check it out. And who are we interviewing? Who are we going to give a rough time tag teaming today?
Well, we're going to talk with a young woman who is at Oxlee Graham, and her name is Jennie.
I'm Jennie Murphy. I'm the owner and winemaker of Oxlee Graham Wines.
Okay, let's get to your background. I see you said after graduating from UC Davis with a degree in chemistry, that kind of puts you in line with what you're doing now. Tell me about that story.
Yeah, so I graduated with my degree in chemistry and wanted to do forensics, but graduated at the exact wrong time in the economy, and counties weren't hiring. I went to UC Davis, so I went to the career fair, and there were so many wineries that were looking for chemists and looking for people to work in the wine labs during harvest. So I thought, hey, that's a great kind of plan B. Let me try that and see if I like it while I kind of wait for the economy to bounce back. And I took an internship at Corbel Champagne in the Russian River Valley and just fell in love. I loved kind of the art of it. I loved working with my hands. I liked how small the industry was. And so thought when that internship was over after 7 months, I'm going to try that again. And so I started looking for jobs and wanted to find a big lab with big toys and kind of all the big chemistry, nerdy stuff that I love. But ended up at a very small winery that didn't have much of a lab at the time, Paul Hobbs Wines in the Russian River Valley as well. Paul loved the fact that I was a chemist. He wanted someone to come in and revamp the QC procedures and all of the instruments, and I got to kind of build my own little lab there. And so that ended up being a great next step for me as a chemist.
I love that story because that's just so relatable, I think, to everybody, whether they're a wine aficionado or not, but those paths that lives take, that are kind of unsuspected to where you arrive. So that is awesome. But I'm curious, in that process of making wine and with your chemistry background, how many opportunities are there in the process of making wine from grape to bottle? Are there for you to intervene to change the outcome of what the wine's eventually going to be?
So I think it depends on what type of winemaking you're talking about. I think for a chemist in general, there's a lot of opportunity. When you're kind of looking at the chemistry of the wine, knowing the numbers is really important. So when you bring the fruit in, you want to look at the chemistry, see what you need to add. I personally am a winemaker that's always made wine without inoculating. So I don't add any yeast. I don't add any bacteria. So I need to just feed the natural yeast and bacteria that are coming in with good nutrients for the yeast. I got to keep the bacteria at bay until I'm ready to go through that secondary fermentation. So I need to add a little sulfur. But I like to be very natural with my winemaking. But there are bigger houses that, those numbers mean everything. When I was at Corbel, something I found really fascinating is that they're trying to make the same exact wine every year. And, wine is not the same. Vintages vary a lot. And so for them, they need to know the exact numbers, what color that wine is, all of those kind of trigger points so that they can make decisions to kind of create this wine that is the same. And that's really hard winemaking. That's challenging. And so a lot of the bigger houses, wines that, people love at the grocery store, those are hard wines to make because you're making a really distinctive product. And so science becomes really important in that type of winemaking. What I do, I love to know the numbers. I want to know every number so I can make an educated decision. But really, I'm working with a little bit of acid and some sulfur, and that's pretty much all I'm adding. But I need to know that it's healthy and that I don't need to add more sulfur. I like to keep my numbers really low. So the numbers are important, but they're more of a benchmark for me, where for other winemaking styles, it can be hugely important how you drive the winemaking.
Do you miss forensics?
I don't. I think I like the outdoors, and I like seeing the sky and I think with forensics, I might have been a little bit more stuck in a lab.
That's when you know you've made the right decision. When you go to college to be, like you said, forensics, to go into forensics and you deviate from that and now you are where you are, you don't look back with regret.
Exactly. Yeah, I tell my mom, sometimes I say, I really wanted to do something that helped people. And she said, honey, you are helping people. People need wine.
Yeah.
So I find solace in that. Definitely, I think I made the right decision. I love the different things I can do every day. My day is never the same. So that's kind of fun.
From Sauvignon to Merlot, we look for adventure at wineries around the globe. The best 5